Sonja.
And I'm Matt.
And welcome to our Life the Show.
I guess Sonja was going to try the cold open there, then she,
No, I thought you were going to continue it, that's why.
Anyway, yes, welcome to our Life the Show. As you guys know, we like to talk about our experiences and whatnot here. And today we're going to actually be talking about certain things that in our life make us feel nostalgic and bring back those feelings of our childhood and whatnot. First, I do just want to apologize for the week off. I hope that you guys didn't miss us too much, all three of you. But without further ado, I'm actually going to start this, and I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing with this. I wish we actually had some of these things here to demonstrate. This time of year, you know, the holidays and whatnot, if you're like me, you do get nostalgic for a lot of things that you grew up with, thinking of like presents and whatnot you got as a kid and stuff of that nature. And that's kind of where this stems from, is just, you know, those thoughts of our childhood. And I'm going to bring up these items myself. Sonja's going to give her thoughts on them and stuff, and we're going to go back and forth. My first one, which I'm not probably going to discuss all that much because we talked about video games in a previous episode, I put as my first nostalgic thing, or thing that brings me nostalgia, is N64 and PS1 era games. Like, when I'm, basically any time of year that I boot up a game that I grew up with, like Ocarina of Time, Mystical Ninja, Final Fantasy VII, at least for a brief period of time while I'm playing those games again, it always brings me back to the first time I played them. Like, Final Fantasy VII, I remember being in one of my sister's friends' houses, actually, as I kind of discovered it there. And then, Ocarina of Time, me and a friend of mine were talking about the game in the nurse's office at the school one time, and we were talking about certain elements of the game, like the graveyard and how creepy it was, how big the world was, or at least how big it seemed to be then.
Meeting friends in the nurse's office.
And every time I play it and get to certain areas, it brings me right back to those moments. And that's why those games give me a lot of nostalgia, a lot of feel-good moments, I guess.
Feel good.
So yeah, that'd be my first one. Anything you want to say on that?
You cheated, because my third one is kind of like that. It's SNES and 64.
Really should have probably cross-examined our notes a little bit.
Why?
Just to make sure we didn't do stuff like that.
It's okay if have similar things, but
spoiler alert, I guess, for later in the video.
Well, Super Nintendo is, when I was a real young kid, like probably from 3 up, my aunt and uncle used to own one. I don't think my parents got one until later. Anyway, they'd always come over and bring theirs, and they'd have the what the hell is that thing called to make so you could have like 4 multiplayer?
I knew what it was called on the PS1. It was called a multi-tap, but I have no idea what it was called for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, well, we had the adapter thing so you can have multiple people, not just 2. Anyway, they would play Bomberman 93, Super Mario Kart, Super Bowling, and another nostalgic thing, because I watched my brother and my father beat it so many times, is Super Metroid and some other games and stuff. Like, that was my thing. Like, I'd always watch my brother and my dad playing video games. Yeah, my uncle was like a sore loser, and he'd get mad if he was losing. 64, basically, like, all the good rare, like, mostly rare games, but like all the games, like GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, I played so many hours in with my brother and my cousin, and then when we got together, we played a lot. Conquer, again, something that started with my brother because I'd watch him play it, but me and my cousin would play all of it, and we call, like I've mentioned this before, Wii Splat, where you jumped off the highest thing and then you're basically just a mangled mess when you fall. Yeah, it's fun. We would do that and laugh hysterically. Banjo-Kazooie, same thing. Watch my brother play it, then I played it. Diddy Kong Racing, watch my brother beat it. I can't do it because it's freaking hard. Super Mario 64, I used to play, and I didn't really get better at it until I was older. But yeah, those games, it's just like every time, like I remember being a kid, I guess, and like coming home from school and playing it. Like GameCube I didn't include even though that is, I mean, it's still nostalgic, but it's a newer nostalgia, I guess. Because every time I got off of, like, middle school, I'd go to my brother's room and play his GameCube and play Double Dash all the time.
Speaking of the GameCube, and sort of what I talked about, another reason that brings nostalgia to me in general, I mean, obviously, these things, I think, bring nostalgia to a lot of people. But one of the things that I remember doing, in particular between GameCube and 64, was me and my friend having a race in Ocarina of Time. Basically, we both started the game at the same time, and we tried to finish the game as fast as possible, but we were using 2 different consoles to do that, and I didn't realize that there was different speeds to the games, because I can't remember which one loaded faster, but I actually don't think it was the 64 one that loaded faster.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, the games they ran faster, I believe, on the GameCube. I could be wrong. But, yeah, I was at a disadvantage anyway, because what ended up happening was my game froze. And I had to restart, like, a whole section at one point, and then I just kind of gave up, because it was like, yeah, there's no chance of catching up.
Yeah, because you got unlucky.
Okay, so, yeah, my second one. Again, I'm not sure how much I'm going to talk about this, because we have certain episodes we're planning in the future, and this might come up. But when I was thinking about it the other day, I was getting those feelings of, like, yeah, there were some cool times in my childhood with these things in particular involved. Cheap stocking stuffers. I know it's a very weird thing, probably, but I have memories of waking up at, like, midnight or shortly after midnight, not being able to sleep because, Christmas is on the way and whatnot. And our stockings would already be filled with stuff, and we could see what it was because it wasn't wrapped up or anything like that. And me and my sister, we were up at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and we grabbed some of these like little, like, not dice, like ball games. They had like the little marble in them or whatever the hell it was, and you had to get it through a maze or on either side of the board. I didn't know what to say there.
Like a labyrinth.
And like I had these magical chain link things that you did magic tricks with, like you had to get them apart and all that. And they're dumb little things, but at the same time, like I just remember being in that moment, watching Boomerang while we were playing around with these toys, all those old Christmas specials that they don't put on TV, like Pac-Man and Yogi Bear.
Man, I miss Boomerang. I don't even know if they even have it on TV anymore, but they had the best specials.
Even if they have it, I think they do have it in a streaming service, like as part of a streaming service, but I don't think they have all the content that they had back then. I think it's been kind of switched out to like more 90s and late 80s stuff as opposed to further back. Granted, Pac-Man might be even that, but who the hell knows. But yeah, so that's my number 2. And again, we might revisit that a little bit later on down the road, different episode. But
all right,
anything to...
Since we're going to the bottom of the top there. But no, it's just, the only thing I was going to add, it's like, that's basically what we do ever since we've been together. We go to like Dollar Tree and buy those weird stocking stuffers. Walmart, Walgreens has a couple. I've dove into that stuff. Some of them work. Some of them are really cool, nifty, like things to have. But other ones, it's like, that's a cheap hunk of plastic. All right, going up the list here. I mean, this is no shocker. I really dove and tried to think. I mean, there's probably a lot of things that give me nostalgia, but I tried to like really hone in. But Cabbage Patch Kids. I still have one. I don't know if I have it in this house or if it's still at my childhood home, but I named him Tommy, probably because I was like a really big Rugrats fan. But it was just like a newborn baby doll. It had like a hat and little diaper and a little shirt. I think it came with a blanket too, but I have no idea what happened to the blanket. But I had it forever, since I was like 1 till now. Because like I said, I still have it. It was my first Cabbage Patch. I loved it. It was like, you could tell because it was like old, getting brown, great stuff. But I, like, throughout my years, I always got, like, I got multiple ones. Like, I got the forbidden eating one, where, like, she eats and it goes in their backpack, which it got recalled because they said that kids were getting their fingers stuck or their hair stuck. No. I used to stick my finger in her mouth all the time, didn't get stuck. My hair never got stuck. So I don't know what they were doing, but yeah, I wish I still know where that was because it's probably worth money because it was recalled.
You didn't have any incidents with that doll, you said yourself,
No.
but I remember one of my cousins had that very particular model that ate the hair, allegedly. And I do remember getting my finger stuck in it briefly, but it didn't really...
You really had to jam your finger in there to get stuck. Like, I did it, and I always got it out, so...
I feel like it scared me maybe a little bit at the time, so I was like, holy shit, a doll's eating me. And I had seen Child's Play by accident sometime around this time, so dolls scared the shit out of me anyway. But, yeah, I remember getting my finger out of it really easy. But outside of that, the only thing I'm going to say is, obviously, it wasn't intended for my audience, but I didn't get the appeal of Cabbage Patch Kids myself. I always thought they were kind of ugly.
Yeah, everyone thinks they're ugly, and critic called them a potato or whatever. I loved it. The cool thing, too, is that it's kind of like Build-A-Bear before Build-A-Bear. Well, I don't know when Build-A-Bear came out, but they would have the adoption papers, and you could sign your name, and sometimes they had a name, or you could name the baby. Like, that was my favorite part, like, because I felt like I was a mommy.
Don't American Girl dolls do that also?
I don't fucking know. Who the hell can afford American Girl dolls? Those things were like
sister,
$80.
Well, my sister, as we know, she's probably a little spoiled, but she did get a few of those herself.
Well, nowadays, they have, in Walmart, they have two brands that are basically knockoff of American Dolls. I can't remember what they're called, but they have two specific types because my nieces have them now. Because the American Girl dolls, I don't think they're around as much as they used to be, but they're up there. There's some that are still like $100 because all their clothes and stuff, too, were like a added $50 on top of that. I really wanted one. My mom really wanted to give me one because we used to get magazines all the time because you could make it look like you, a mini you, but you had to be really rich to have one of those dolls.
Or pardon me, or have a grandfather that just happened to spoil his granddaughter way more than his grandson.
Yeah, but there was a time where your grandpa had money too.
Yeah, that was his job. Well, not to have money. That wasn't his job. I wish that was my job, but
yeah, he's spoiled. We got it.
Anyway. So, my last thing is probably the most...
I'm sorry!
My last thing is probably the most obscure item I have on my list. As people know, during the late 90s, early 2000s, around that time, Gigapets were a thing. They were very popular. What I'm talking about today, though, is kind of an offshoot of that I thought was infinitely more cool, and that was Nano Fighters. And yes, I hope to have a nice little graphic up there. Preferably of the sumo one, which is the one I had. I actually ended up having, I think, all of them, because I think they had like 3 or 4 of them. But basically what these things were Nanopets, Gigapets, Nanopets are the same thing, that you trained and raised with the intent of fighting other Nano Fighters with these things, where you connected them kind of... I'm trying to think of something similar, but I can't think of something similar at the moment.
Game Boy?
It's similar to the Game Boy Link cable, but it's not a cable. Yeah. They're like magnets that connect them together.
I think I know what you're talking about now.
But yeah, I used to love those things. Me and a couple friends I had at the time, we'd each train our Nano Fighters, and then usually not at lunch for some reason, but in between lunch and our next class, we would stop in the hallway and we'd have like a quick fight, see who would win for that. And I remember when you'd lose, your fighter would be sick for a little while, and sometimes they'd even die, which was possible. Which is kind of morbid, anyway, I thought, for the Gigapets as it was. But I guess taught responsibility in some regard. But when it's a human, it feels that much more morbid when they die. But yeah, I used to love these things, and I've looked them up online because I personally would... just like to have one again, because it is nostalgic for me. And they're such a weird little toy compared to the normal Gigapets. Those things are going for some astronomical prices right now, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I mean. Neopets, Tamagotchis, whatever you call them, because they've had so many. They were cool back in, like, late 80s, 90s? I don't know if they only came out, whatever. But I know they brought them back in, like, 2005, 2006, and they just weren't the same.
The Nano Fighter craze and Gigapet craze all lined up with kind of like the Pokemon thing, which I don't know, there was just something about raising animals and creatures and collecting them and whatnot then. Although, when I'm thinking about Gigapets, I can't remember anybody that had more than one. They usually just had one. The Nano Fighters were the only thing that people have multiple of that I was aware of.
My sister had two. She had the Pikachu one and the Salem one, and my cousin just went boop for the Salem one, and it completely died.
I'm not sure how much those are, but because those are special licensed ones, I wonder if those are up there in price a bit.
She was very upset. And Salem from Sabrina, the kitty.
And I had said when me and Sonja made our list, no honorable mentions, and this isn't an honorable mention, just a curiosity. Also around this time, for whatever reason, there was a huge resurgence in yo-yos in my grade. Everybody had a fucking yo-yo, and everybody was trying to do tricks and whatever else with them, and I never understood. I mean, I understand the appeal of a yo-yo, the basic appeal, but why it exploded in popularity. It was almost like the fidget spinner of our time, at least in our grade.
Maybe it was because of Double Dare and stuff like that, too, because they're like, get a Dunkin'.
Well, yeah, the Dunkin' yo-yos were popular because of their advertising, but these things were way after that. Like, this was when I was in maybe, like, 6th grade, so it was probably about the year 2000.
I know they had this one, it was like a ball, and it lit up when you did the tricks or whatever, but it would, like, could go down, but it retracted itself, like it wasn't like a normal yo-yo. Yeah,
people, I remember, like, in the locker room, after gym class and whatnot, people like, oh, look, I can do the weird, like, little shit London Bridge thing, or I can walk the dog. And I had a yo-yo, because I was, you know, I wanted to be popular. I wanted to be one of those kids. And every time I walked my dog, he dropped dead. Just fell on his side. Yeah, that I just want to make a quick note of that, because it's something that brings me nostalgia just because I remember that, and I wanted to be like, why? Why was that a thing for
I never
a while?
Understood yo-yos. I could never do it. I mean, maybe if you were really good at it, but...
It's not yo-yos itself or, you know, doing tricks or whatever. I don't understand it. I just don't understand how it became so popular in our school at that particular time. Because literally everybody fucking had one. But anyway, go on.
My turn?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm talking off.
Okay. Again, I've kind of mentioned this, but I'll just give the brand name, I guess. Specifically, Tony's Pizza or Mama Rosa's Pizza. Because, I mean, sometimes it was Red Baron, but it was mostly these two. So, Friday and Saturday nights, at least once or twice a month, we would go out, rent some movies, and we'd have pizza. That's like, my mom would get like 4 or 5 pizzas, because there were 6 of us. And, we would eat late at night. It would be like 6 or 7. More like a snack. Probably not the healthiest thing, but hey, it was the 90s. People didn't care and all that stuff. It was good time. But I don't know, like going to anywhere that you can rent movies, I know that's like a needle in a haystack nowadays in America, but every time I would always think back like, oh, we should get a pizza and stuff. One of these days, I want to bring it to my son and do what we did, like just get a couple pizzas. I mean, we can't rent movies, but we can go buy movies and do it, and like have, like, I want to make a fort and stuff like that. I want to go all out.
I mean, we can easily do something similar with like Netflix and whatnot, but it's not the same feeling.
No, I ain't doing that shit. I'd rather have the physical thing.
Well, that's not the point. I mean, if we're just gonna watch a random movie anyway.
Yeah, but I collect movies anyway.
Yeah.
No, the whole point is to actually go out, see, like, basically how you would rent a movie, because before internet, you'd have to go and basically judge the back and the front cover, because you just read, they had a little snippet on the back saying what it was about. That's what I would do. Instead of renting, you'd buy it. You don't have to be expensive. It can be like a $5 bin one or whatever. But that's what I want to do. Like the whole experience. Not just get something on a streaming service. That ain't fun.
Back in my day.
Yeah.
I mean, I miss renting games, especially for me. I mean, obviously, we rented movies. I told you the once... Actually, you know what? This is a good time to tell the story if you're not seeing it.
All right.
I have nowhere else to slot this thing in. But we rented... It was South Park, the South Park movie when it came out. And it was me and my little sister. Neither of us should have been able to rent that movie, but whoever was running the store at the time did not care. But we were walking back to my house, and we get to the railroad tracks. that were near my house, and the railroad crossing was down. And we were sitting there waiting for the train to come. It didn't come for like 3-4 minutes, still nothing coming. And I was like, I think these are just broken. So I was like, all right, let's just run across real quick and get to the other side. So me and my sister just start running as fast as we can to get across in case something was going to come. And I tried to tell my sister to avoid the pole, that's what I'm going to call it, right?
The little flag thing that goes down?
Yeah, to avoid the guardrail or whatever it was, to try to watch out for that as we're running. And I looked to her to try to tell her. She's sitting here smiling at me, and I'm like, watch out for the guard. She just runs face first right into it, does a complete backflip, and skids down the little hill that was near there.
That had to hurt.
And she's crying. She has like glitter or something like on her face that she got from the railroad crossing. She hit it hard.
Oh my god.
She hit it hard. I'm sitting here trying not to piss myself because I just thought it was hilarious. It's mean, yes, because she's crying. She's obviously hurt. But at the same time, just the scene of her doing a complete fucking backflip after getting hit. But anyway, yeah, that's my story that I want to tell there. Anything else you want to say on this episode, Sonja?
No. I just miss the 90s. That's about it.
There's our little ending thing with Discord popping up, I guess. But anyway, thanks for watching. We will be back next week. And guess what? We're going to be doing our Thanksgiving special. A little bit early, but unless you wanted to release the episode on Thanksgiving, it was the best time to do it. Anyway, have a good day. Take care. Hello, I'm Matt.
I'm Sonja.
And we're going to redo that recording. Hold on.
Because you keep fucking it up.